Hello everyone, welcome to the Weeb initiative. I'm your host, the Weeb. This is the show where every other week I'll be talking about anime, manga, and everything in between. This week I'll be talking about Kiznaiver. Following my Trigger miniseries, this is the last episode. I will not be talking about the adaptation of Zenon, because when I first planned this, let's say, series, I thought it was not yet aired, but apparently aired in 2020, and I did not watch it as of yet, so to another date. Anyways, so first off, disclaimers, spoiler alert, I will spoil some things, maybe a lot of things actually, but that's not really important. As of yet, I just finished the last episode, and really, I think they overextended for like 3 episodes, but I'll get to that. So, first the stats. Kiznaiver was produced by Studio Trigger in collaboration with, from what appears here in Wikipedia, Aniplex and Crunchyroll. I cannot say that's correct or not, but anyways, the music was licensed by Sony Music of Japan. The opening is not really to my liking. The animation is pretty well made for the opening, but the animation is pretty well done for the whole anime actually, but the music itself is not anime opening music, let's say. It's far too calm for my tastes, but that's another thing. So it ran through April 2016 to June 2016. It has 12 episodes, no OVAs. The whole anime is an OVA, but anyways. So what is it about, right? So Kiznaiver is really an outing of Studio Trigger that I think they were aiming for something really philosophical, deep, maybe something more psychological, something like that. Akin, not similar, but in the same vein as Black Rock Shooter, in that the anime is really aimed to have a lot of metaphors for the human psyche and human relations in a way. Although the delivery is really different, I can see still the connection. So about the story, I'll explain pretty briefly the story. To be honest, I could just make this episode like 10 minutes long, but I think that's a bit of disservice for those who listen to this review, because at the same time that I can really explain this really quickly, and most will get the idea and maybe watch it. My feelings towards the anime really hinder my ability to drag this out. So I don't really know how much I will get in the final cut of this episode, but anyways, let's get to it. So first off, we meet our main character, Katsuhira Agata, who's an emotionless and painless, for the most part, protagonist. He does not have neither emotions nor sense of pain. So you see at the start he gets bullied for money and gets punched and all, but he does not get fazed by the violence. And the second thing, actually, the first scene of the first episode, we get to meet Agatha, and then Shidori. Shidori is the main, for the most part, girl of the anime. It's the, let's say, the love interest. I'll get to that. Actually, that saying that right now, it's a bit of a complicated topic. But anyways, so we get to meet Shidori and Agatha, and then we get to see then Hajime Tenga. Tenga is, for what I can tell, it's a successor to Kamina for the most part. You can see, actually, now that I touched on that, for some of the characters, some of the ideas that come out in Kiznaiver, you can see that some designs may be recycled from other anime, Trigger anime specifically. So at this point, Trigger had, I think, Little Witch Academia and Kill la Kill, and Inferno Cop if you count Inferno Cop. The thing is, the two designs that really come out in the anime are Tenga as the successor to Kamina. It's really similar, even in terms of attitude and personality. You can see that it's the connection is there. I can assure you. And the second one is when we meet another male character, Yuta. Yuta is very reminiscent from one of the Elite Four of Kill la Kill. I cannot remember his name right now, but the hacker man of Kill la Kill, it's really there. You can see it. Anyways, so what's and also already, it's better if I go through all the main cast. So we got Agatha, we got Shidori, we got Yuta, Tenga. Then we meet Honoka, Hisomu. Hisomu is comes out way later, third episode. But anyways, and then we get to Nico. Nico, they try to revive Mako from Kill la Kill on her somewhat, but then they noticed that they needed to use her to further up the plot later on. So you can see Mako in her, but it's only like episodic, let's say, lapses of Mako appearing there. There is some really good reference towards the end of the anime and in the middle, but she kind of sits in the same realm as Mako. So we get to meet these guys, and what's the idea of the story? What's the story about? So the 7 people are classmates, excluding Hisomu. Hisomu just appears from the third episode forward because they have to find him. But let's get from the beginning. What's the idea of Kiznaiver? Kizuna in Japanese is scar. So the whole idea of the anime is connecting people through pain and scars they have. How do they do this? Why do they do this? So there's this whole world building that they live in a futuristic city in Japan, really, but in a reclaimed island from what we gather from the anime. And for the most part, they go through this experiment that goes on the wraps, so they are more or less kidnapped and forced into it. Although they are not threatened into it, it's more like the government of the city is involved in this, so it's kind of volunteered compulsorily, more or less. And the idea is that they go through some kind of surgery. They never explain really how the system works, but the idea is whenever one of them feels pain, the other ones will feel the same pain. And for the most part, that's the whole gimmick of the anime. The whole siege of the whole thing is like that. So if one of them gets punched, all of them will feel it. One of them, I don't know, trips and falls, everyone will feel it, and so on and so forth. And the anime really goes through these forming bonds through scars and pain a lot. That's the main, let's say, the main premise of the whole anime. So about the episodes. So the first episode we get to meet nearly all the characters. The second episode is more of they say it's a personal presentation. It's the beginning where you see how the experiment goes through. So they are closed off in a hospital, and they start to demolish the hospital. And if they don't present themselves, the whole building will fall apart on them. But then comes out that normal presentation won't be enough, and then they suddenly discover that they need to show the secrets that they don't want to say, or parts of them they don't want to go public. So, for instance, Tenga, who is this macho, pretty tough up guy, he's afraid of dogs, and it's pretty comical how it breaks up. But and for the most part that's goes. So Yuta, who's this handsome guy, used to be fat and model for commercials. So and this goes on. So Nico is this airhead, kind of really eccentric chick, and doing this what we would call like crazy things and all, but actually she's just normal. She just wants to appear eccentric to get people to notice her. And then comes out the two that really shocked the thing. First off, I will tell about Honoka. Honoka comes up as she killed someone. That's what's said in the episode. And then this is the part where I start to really criticize the anime. For the most part, Kiznaiver has this one problem, and this one problem that really drags it really low. That is, they played their cards too early. The best things they could have done for the plot, it's presented too early, and let's say the story beats get driven too fast for my liking. The thing is, when Shidori comes out to say what's the thing she doesn't want to say, it is declaration of love for Agatha. And the thing is, right, second episode, and they already have this played out. So they already have the declaration of love, and nothing comes out of it. That's the thing that really pisses me off. So that's the second episode. Third episode, they eventually get to notice that there are 7 people involved in this, but to that point, they only have 6 people in the class, and so they have to find the 7th, and they find out who it is, and it is Hisobu. Hisobu is this one, let's say, this one oddball character that eventually comes out to be the voice of reason. Really, eventually, to the later part of the anime. The thing is, he's Mazo, so where everyone is really annoyed and suffers with the pain they feel from other people. Hisomu is the one who really likes it. So for the most part, whenever someone gets, I don't know, kicked and all, he just screams, he just moans. And that's pretty funny, actually, but the gimmick dies down pretty fast. They eventually just straight up stop doing the gimmick because the joke would get played out so much that it would be tiring, let's say. And before I get even to the 4th episode, I need to also tell you about the other cast, because they eventually get to be important. And so first one is Sonosaki Noriko, who's this also emotionless girl for the most part, and she's to that point she seems in control of the experiment, so she's the one who introduces the main cast to the Kizna system, they call it, and she's the one who instigates them for the most part, convokes them to the experiments and all. She eventually gets to be important, but let's leave it at that. And the 2 researchers, Yamada and Urushi. Yamada is the homeroom teacher for the class of the guys, so he's a researcher in disguise, let's say, undercover. And Urushi is the school counselor that is also a researcher undercover. So back to the story. Episode 4 basically is pretty, let's say, transitory, let's say. Basically they have this whole development where, faced with the situation of feeling pain outside your body, they question, right, when are we going to get free? And then they Sonosaki explains to them that till the end of the summer. So episode 4, we already are in the beginning of summer, and then they go to this training camp. The episode more or less ends with them going to the let's say the resort where the training camp is going to take place. Episode 5 is a continuation, right? And it's this test of courage kind of thing, where we see the first development of the Kizna system, and more or less you can already see that the development of the Kizna system in the overall stage, they do not need really to explain that, but even then they kind of outside of pain, they start to share more or less emotions. So for example, the pain of love. I cannot say this. I don't know how to explain it, but basically the feelings where it's not really a physical injury, but emotional injury, they start to share. And also as Shidori gets this, I would say touching, but it's more or less I don't know what kind of emotional moment, remembering something from when Agatha was bullied and all. And basically that's the whole stage for the story, right? Episode 6, we have the start of the Honoka arc, more or less. The anime has only 12 episodes, but the episode 6 forwards, they go way more. The pace gets way more fast. So episode 6, we start this Honoka arc where Honoka, she just cannot admit that she's friends with everyone else, just because they are connected with system that forces them to be together, and also because she has a huge trauma with a manga she created way back in middle school. And basically from episode 6 to episode 7 is basically this whole arc where we go through her trauma, her problem with connecting to people, and basically the whole group really getting together and formally being friends. And then episode 8 comes along, and well, how things have turned. So basically, seeing how the painful emotions from the test of courage, and then from the end of the Honoka arc, good emotions start to be shared. The Yamada has this idea where he wants to really pump out results for the study, for this experiment, and for the basics really. The group is hanging out in a shopping mall from what it seems, and then they get kidnapped again, but this time they go to school while a typhoon is passing through casually, right? And their mission is to wait for the typhoon to pass and go home. But the thing is, right, they really try to section off people to try to instigate romantic feelings. And this is where I have to explain also all the connections and all, but this is where the apex of the whole anime happens to episode 9. Episode 9, to me, they could have ended on episode 10, but I'll get to that. So episode 8, they kind of they get separated, and so basically let's say the 2B couples get each separated and away. So then we get this whole part where their emotional state gets so worked up with everything that happens, that the jealousy gets so strong that eventually they start to hear each other's, I'll not say thoughts, but the more or less the feelings, right? And it is the best part. I cannot make it justice with just my explanation. it's something that you need to see and listen to, rather than listen to me explain it. But for this whole time, for the last 8 episodes, we got Shidori likes Agata, but Agata actually likes Sonosaki, who's someone totally out of the group. And then for some reason, Tenga actually likes Shidori, and then Nico likes Tenga. So it's this whole snake of a love triangle trying to happen. And when it all comes together, shit hits the fan, and everyone gets so worked up. It's so nice. It is as I said earlier, it's the apex of the anime. It is the best part. It is the best part. And I wish, and this is where I stop the story, because from this point on, the anime just overextends to places I really do not. I really thought they did not need that. Like, they tried to resell the plot to you. It's pretty bad from this on, but episode 9 is the best part, where they have this whole group collapse, where everyone who likes everyone starts to fight over each other, and then when they get this development where they hear each other's thoughts, hear each other's, as they say in the anime, hearts. It is really nice. It's one of the best things I watched in somewhat romance anime, romance, slice of life. You get what I'm saying. The thing is, it lasts too little to really be the best thing. Really, it lasts too little, and after that, nothing in the anime even comes close to topping it. And now I get to my opinion, really. So about the animation and art. The whole anime has this drawn by hand quality to it. It is really stylized. They really went out of their way to get aesthetics, style, color palette, all these things so right, so right. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. For the most part, you can really pause the anime in most frames, and all the frames are beautiful, nice to see. What I generally say is that any frame in this anime could be a good wallpaper. That's how I put it. The animation is fluid, it's well made. Even if they have this more cartoonish kind of animation, they always think of lighting, of maintaining the style, maintaining the aesthetic. It's really nice. About the music, not my liking, but I could see someone liking it. To me, it's pretty good. And now for the story. The story, I'll have to get more, at the very least, 10 or 15 more minutes to say. So, what's my problem with the story? The story begins really strong, really strong. And then they begin with this group cohesion kind of thing. So you have 7 people who are really different, really just strange people in of themselves, trying to connect, let's say. And it begins really nice. That you can see development being made. You can see the strides that each one of them goes through, and for the most part, it is really it's really something different from what you see normally, because the gimmick is pretty good actually. This connection through pain that starts through pain and goes towards more positive things it's something really that really innovative, let's say, really something new. But the thing is, as I said in the beginning, they played their cards too early to make them count. So aside from the fact that Chidori already, from the get-go, already says that she likes Agatha, and Agatha does not respond really to it, what pisses me off really is that for the apex that is this whole fight between them, because each one likes the other and no one's getting responded in any way. The fact is, first off, Nico does not show in any episode really that she likes Tenga. She just shows that after you can kind of see something that Tenga likes Chidori, and out of nowhere really. It is just put out there just to be a plot device really. And for the most part, I kind of don't vibe with that. I think it's really just purpose putting, let's say. And also about the length of the Apex, right? I think the fact that they cut them loose after they reach that point where they can hear each other through their hear their thoughts, right? That was too early to, let's say, throw plot device they had for them, just delivered to them. They just threw it out just because. And from that point on, the story goes actually nowhere, because they start this whole thing from episode 10 to the 12th that they start to really just pile on reviews and backstory, background things, lore and all, just to justify the ending that is not really that good. Because to me, the ending's so cheesed. It is so cheesed. Everyone gets happy at the end. And for the most part, I like when the ending's happy. I cannot say I don't like happy endings. I love happy endings. But for this specific case, when you show me a conflict so intense, so psychological, so something so, I don't want to say realistic, but something so, although it's not realistic, it is realistic. It is something that I love reading romance. I love watching romance anime. The thing is, that is the crux of any romance aficionado, I would say. And to see that presented, I really wanted something to be at stake right there. I wanted something to matter right there. But when they show that the ending is everyone lived happily ever after as if nothing happened, I get disappointed, because at the end of the day, the best part of the anime did not count. It, for the most part, that's the case. The best conflict they have in all the anime, it doesn't count at the end. It gets changed for a subplot, a kind of thrown in at the last minute kind of thing. And that's really, really, really awful. I don't really know, man. So, Anyways, that's my opinion. The anime is pretty beautiful. The music can be pretty beautiful if you like it. The story, though, I cannot endorse that story. I just cannot. So, well, after this, like, let's say almost 40 minutes of me rambling about an anime that began really good, went really good, and let's say came too fast. I don't have anything really to say, but if you like the show, if you like what I do, please leave a like, follow me depending on the platform you're listening to, join the Discord, please, and that's about it. Thank you for listening, and see you next time. Bye.